Damashek here. Time to play What the If. Where would the Pittsburgh Steelers have gone had Santonio Holmes' two big toes not found the corner of the end zone at the end of Super Bowl XLIII? Put another way, would Mike Tomlin be the Steelers head coach today if he still had the non-losing season record but had never claimed a single Lombardi? Ooh, that's a good question. Now, as a sane person, I can tell you that non-losing streak is one of the most remarkable things going in 21st century sports. But there's going to be some fallout if the signature moment of Super Bowl XLIII is Larry Fitzgerald running away from Troy Polamalu. Not the least of which is, it erases maybe the greatest play in Super Bowl history. And I'm not necessarily talking about the Santonio catch. I'm talking about the play that ended the first half. James Harrison's 100-yard interception return. Both of those gone like tears in the rain. It also renders moot one of the greatest single seasons via defense, the Pittsburgh Steelers of Odd 8. That Odd 8 unit was for real, but undone by that late catch. A footnote in history without it, but they were saved by Ben Roethlisberger, and so too is Mike Tomlin. Especially a year after that bad home playoff loss to the Jaguars, there are going to be questions, local and national, about whether or not Tomlin is taking full advantage of what was built by Cowher before Tomlin got there. It's also interesting to consider what happens in the 2010 title game against the Jets in Heinz Field in our new world order. You remember, it's the franchise, Rex Ryan. Oh, Santonio Holmes, I've heard of him. Maybe without the validation of Super Bowl XLIII, the Steelers are playing with way more pressure on them, and they crack under that pressure. Then again, maybe the fire burns so hot in them, the fire's ashamed for losing in a Super Bowl to the Arizona Cardinals, which, by the way, would absolutely positively have been the most disgraceful Super Bowl loss for a favored team ever. So anywho, maybe they do go down to Dallas for Super Bowl XLV and beat the Green Bay Packers. Who was their quarterback? Oh yeah, well, I don't want to talk about him. He doesn't like that when people do it. He's a very private man. All this might make the 2011 postseason game in Denver against Tim Tebow and Demaryius Thomas and the rest of those cats even more impactful, perhaps even an inflection point. Now, I forgive the Steelers. They were completely beaten up injury-wise by the end of that game. No big deal. They weren't going to the Super Bowl that year in the state they were in. But don't forget, without the evidence of that Lombardi, Tomlin's defenders have nothing to fall back on to prove that he can, in fact, win the big game. I don't imagine one of those defenders is going to be Ben Roethlisberger, whose odd 5 Lombardi is getting real far in the rearview mirror. And in this reality, with his guy Bruce Arians retired by 2011, at the latest. Now, given our new reality, I'm not sure Tomlin has sufficient juice inside the building to shove out guys like Arians and Dick LeBeau, but I do think Big Ben would be getting awful scoochy. Jump to the latter half of the 2010s when the flops and embarrassments really kick into high gear. The humiliation at home to the Jaguars, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Blake Bortles? Feh! If that wasn't bad enough for you, they lost to the Browns in Pittsburgh in a playoff game. Just because no one was there to see it doesn't mean it didn't happen. You know, the football world now kind of regards Mike Tomlin the way Hollywood does Robert De Niro. He's a legend, don't you see? You just got to ignore the last decade or so of work. Robert De Niro's got Rocky and Bullwinkle. Tomlin's got that loss to the Jags. De Niro's got The Intern. Tomlin's got the loss to the Browns. Unless in the early part of the 2010s, Mike Tomlin does leave by hook or by crook. And I don't know what a crook is, but I do know that the quarterback of the Green Bay Packers at the time was belly aching about his head coach. So maybe Mike McCarthy for Mike Tomlin. My sources are telling me that Mike Tomlin really likes that quarterback and has for quite some time. And I think Mike McCarthy from Pittsburgh, PA would be a natural fit on the banks of the Three Rivers. Done and done. Okay, so we lose the Santonio catch over it, but don't hang your heads, Yins. The standard is the standard, right?